What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tales, Ales, and Trails. I'm Nick. Today's episode is with Ben Nielsen of Lassen Cider. It's a fantastic discussion about his passion for cider, how he got into the cider making business, and also a really honest conversation about the challenges that craft organizations face, especially now in 2025 when the landscape is changing so much. So we really appreciate him getting honest about the roadblocks and the real things that people face when they're in this business. So overall, really awesome discussion. We love Ben. We're outside of the podcast, we're friends with Ben. Play softball with him and all that stuff. So it was really great to get to sit down with him and talk about the cider. The cider that he's passionate about, why he loves doing it, and what it's been like, building a cider house in this area and in this time. So please enjoy this episode with Ben Nielsen, Lassen Cider. We're on Instagram, TikTok, all the major social media platforms. Go check us out and like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Thanks so much. Well, Ben, thanks so much for having us. We're super happy to be here, super happy to be talking to you. I mean, candidly, we know each other fairly well, so this will be a fun one. How are things going, first off?
Oh, yeah, things are great. Yeah, I mean, it's summertime, so just been taking my dog out swimming and enjoying the Chico summer. It's nice that it hasn't been too hot this summer. So it's been good.
It's been kind of a mild summer,
Yeah,
comparatively for
Thank
Chico.
God. Yeah, compared to last year.
Yeah, goodness. Before we get into things, this is the first time we've had a drink on the podcast, on the interview side of the podcast. So I do want to ask you to kind of take us through what we're drinking here. Because I've smelled it, I haven't tasted it yet, but it smells
you've
delicious.
got something different in your glass than I have. I have this Newtown Pippin single varietal, but you guys are drinking the pomegranate. So that one's mostly apple. It's like 90% apple mixed with just a little bit of pomegranate. But most of the apples are from orchard down in Gridley, so Butte County apples in that one. But pomegranates, I used to get some locally sourced pomegranates from like Sky Lake, and there's another place out in Orland. But this year I just got a drum of juice from a big place down in Madera.
Yeah.
It's kind of pomegranate central down there.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, you've already sipped? I haven't sipped yet.
Yeah, this one's been a hit. Yeah, super fruity and.
Oh man.
Yeah, really drinkable.
Right off the bat, yeah, that is delicious.
Thanks.
Fantastic stuff.
Glad you like it.
So kind of where I wanted to start with you. I don't think we can tell the Lassen Cider story without first telling your story and kind of. The inspirations for you to get into cider making and kind of your background.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a lot there. I guess I could start by just kind of going back. I started homebrewing beer in college days, just with my buddies, and started drinking craft beer like pretty early on in college, like freshman year, and just started dorking out about it and just like loved fermentation, like just loved every aspect of it, and it was just like good time with friends. And then kind of moving on through the years, continued homebrewing, and then I went to undergrad up at Michigan Tech, up in the UP, kind of middle of nowhere up on Lake Superior, and then moved out to Oregon for grad school. Just wanted to come out west and be closer to mountains and skiing and stuff. So decided to go to grad school in Corvallis at Oregon State University, and then got my master's degree through there, and continued brewing. They had a great homebrew shop there. And then, I guess, 2005 time frame, I had bought a house when I was only like 27, because I was like, first engineering job, and everybody's buying houses back then. So that's what I did too. And moved into a place that my neighbor had some apple trees he wasn't using. I was like, oh, might as well try making cider. And that kind of just started this whole thing with cider where like a lot of people up in Oregon, just have like backyard apple trees.
Sure.
So it's kind of like the citrus around here, where it just like falls on the ground and rots, and like nobody uses it. So it's like, oh, might as well use all this free fruit around here to ferment. And kind of just started like an annual tradition where I'd like have a cider pressing party and just like get all my friends over, and we just like crush a bunch of apples and drink, like get drunk off last year's cider, and it's good family fun.
Yeah, crowdsource the labor a little bit. I like it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've always done that through the years. And then kind of just in the course of doing that, I just sort of developed a fondness for cider, and Because back then, like the only ciders you could find in the store were like all like super sweet ones. Like I would never drink those because they're just kind of garbage to me.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
So for several years, the only cider I drank was my own. And then that kind of like gave me some thought because like back when I was like more focused on home brewing, I thought it'd be cool to do like a craft brewery, back, like early 2000s when I didn't really have the means to do it back then. But I just like started getting into cider and like dorking out about apples. I'm like, man, I think like cider could be a cool thing to get into, It's kind of like a new thing for a lot of people. Like most people haven't been exposed to real cider. So eventually, I guess, moving forward several years and just kind of making cider on my own for that whole time. So I'd been working as an engineer for about 10 years and just never had a lot of satisfaction with it. I kind of just did it because it's sort of like doing what I should do,
Sure, sure.
I guess when I was like 18 going into college, when you're supposed to figure out your career for the rest of your life, I was like, good at math. I like science. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll do engineering. And I did materials science, which is a pretty cool field. Like, I liked learning about it. But then I think I just went to grad school to like avoid getting a job, which I guess maybe a lot of people do. But I liked school. I liked school at the time. Like, it was fun. And then, but yeah, a couple of jobs I had like for each about 5 years. Just like wasn't super into it. Like, didn't feel like it was like my calling or my passion. And like I was just like a lot more passionate about fermentation. So like, eventually I just got to this point where, I was like, why not take a risk? And, cider was kind of like up and coming. This is sort of like around like 2012, 2013. And there was like, there was like a little bit of real cider kind of starting to get into the market then where you'd like,
but nowhere near where it is now. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's definitely developed more since then. But yeah, it was still like super niche back then. So that kind of just gave me a thought where I was just like, I got to this point where I just like kind of hated my job and it's just like, all right, I'm ready to like make a change and like, why not take a risk? It's like, just try it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, living up in Corvallis still at the time. And then my sister and her family had moved to Chico in like 2007. So I like spent a lot of time driving between, Corvallis and here and kind of just really liked Chico and like looking at where to start the cidery. I thought about doing Corvallis and my sister kind of like convinced me to do it here, and I was like, yeah, it'd be great to like be around my nieces because they were like 10 and 12 at the time, and now they're like in college, and like one graduated already. Like
time flies
so quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I decided to do it in Chico, and then I found some like orchards up in the foothills around here. Paradise used to be like an apple growing region. There used to be like dozens of orchards. And back in like the 80s, I think most of them kind of got turned into houses. But there's still like a lot of, like before the campfire, like a lot of people had a few apple trees in their backyards just from the orchards getting diced up, and developed.
Yeah.
But then there's still like some cool old orchards. There is a cool like apple growing history in California that a lot of people don't know about. Just look at all these like old gold mining towns. Like they all have old apple orchards.
Right.
That's like one of the first things people did when they moved here was like plant fruit trees.
Really?
And like apples do pretty well up at that like 2,000 to 3,000 foot elevation. Like the valley's a little bit too hot for apples, but if you go up a little higher, where it's a little cooler, they do pretty well. So like, I found a few orchards growing some cool like heirloom apple varieties that I like to use for cider. So like wine saps and Arkansas blacks and so it's like, do it in Chico, why not? So it started here in 2016. So it'll be 9 years, basically now, like next month, it'll be my 9-year anniversary. Yeah.
Very exciting. So
what were some of the I don't know, hardships that you faced? Was it coming from Oregon to here?
Oh no, that wasn't too bad of a hardship because I think I was kind of excited for the move. I had like a lot of motivation to like start the business. There's definitely been a lot of like roadblocks over the years. I'd say like, financially, number one. Like I just sold my house in Corral, so I started with like a little bit of equity. It was like $50,000 or something. It was like hardly anything. I thought that was a lot of money back then, and now I was just like, that's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it started pretty small and just kind of like stayed pretty small. Like I guess, looking back, it's like when I started, I kind of thought I'd be able to like grow more than I have, I guess. And it's just like, it's just really hard not having capital. You need money to make money.
Make money, definitely.
So it's been more challenging to get there than I thought, for sure. And then, I was like doing pretty well, like kind of growing every year, like 10, 20% a year up until like 22. Like when COVID started, like there was like a weird law where, draft sales were just dead for like several months or a year even. But like my bottle sales just like took off.
Right.
Because everybody's like drinking home. Everyone
Taking
had
it
money,
home, yeah.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
So like up through like 22, my sales were just like going up, and things were looking great. I moved here to this new spot in 21 just to have like more production space.
Right.
And, like, a better tasting room, because my initial site, like I think you guys went there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like a little tiny room in a warehouse, just kind of crammed in there with like no seating. So it's now I actually have some seating and people can hang out. But yeah, it's, I mean, just the last two and a half years, like since inflation kind of took hold, it's just been really challenging, and just like the changing climate with drinking culture, you know, and like people drinking less,
Yeah,
and just like
yeah.
not having money to go out. It hurts. Like I was just reading an article today talking about how beer sales are down like 5% from a year ago, and that's like, you know, they're down like 6% the previous year from that. So it's just like it keeps just kind of going down.
Very significant, yeah.
Yeah, it's been tough, and like I think wine sales are down even more than beer sales. You know?
Right.
It's like 8% a year, and so I think we're all kind of just like struggling, and sort of like I feel like it's like this survival mode right now, where it's just like, oh, I hope we can make it, and hope that things get better, and people start drinking and spending money again.
Well, I think that's why, you know, a lot of breweries, distilleries, you know, cider houses even are trying to make that transition to, you know, either low ABV or non-alcoholic, because they see that trend, right? I mean, I think about Two Towns, another Corvallis, and I want to get back to the Corvallis thing, because you and I have a similar pipeline of, you know, splitting time between Corvallis and Chico.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, a lot of people see it. It's like, hey, you know, people are drinking less, and you know, non-alcoholic might be a good route for some folks. You know, and
I mean, I guess it's healthy for people to drink less, but I mean, it doesn't help my bottom line.
But it's so fun,
like,
yeah.
I know, right? It's just like, can't you just moderate and have a good time?
Yeah. I like I said, I wanted to get back to that Corvallis and Chico, because I think there's, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's such a similarity in those two communities. You know, both you know, really community focused, very locally supported, I guess you could say. You know, alcohol is big in both areas. College towns, that has a little bit to do with it, but really it's, you know, it's about the craft of it all. You know, Corvallis has Block 15. It's got Two Towns. It's got Forest Spirits Distillery. It's a really kind of bustling area of that part of Oregon for craft alcohol. And
yeah, a lot of people don't know, like, Two Towns is like the biggest cidery in the country.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
like, we were driving into Corvallis, and I was like, oh, we'll try this little cider house.
Oh, right, they have their
we went
tasting
in.
room out there. Like, a lot of people, like, that's their like production space. And
It's like a little hole in the wall too.
Up by the airport, you know, they just have this like giant
just massive,
with, like, a bunch of huge tanks.
Yeah, it was funny because I started reading into it. I was like, oh, they're like national, like they're a big deal. Like, and they're just, you know, off the side of the highway and on your way into Corvallis.
Yeah, that was their original location. Well, actually, the original location was kind of in that same area where their current tasting room is, but it's like even smaller warehouse.
Yeah.
So yeah, they grew a lot from when they started.
So, you know, looking at Chico, I mean, did it? I know you talked about, you know, there's some family influence to come down here and kind of settle in, but did you see it as, you know, that kind of opportunity where there was a similar kind of appreciation for craft spirit or craft alcohol? Did that factor into things?
Chico's got a lot of appreciation for alcohol.
Sure, just in general, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the drinking culture in Chico's, I'd say it's more prevalent than Corvallis. I think Corvallis is like pretty tame.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, I wasn't like an undergrad there, so I'm sure the college kids party, but like I wasn't really part of that scene. You know, like I feel like there, like on a weekday, if you go downtown, it's gonna be like pretty dead. And like, I mean, Chico, maybe not now, but a few years ago, you know, it's like definitely more hopping.
Right. I guess I'm thinking about, you know, just the size of Chico and how many different establishments it has in the craft alcohol space.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, my parents are from Tracy, and there's 1.5 breweries in Tracy. There's Morgan Territory, which is, you know, they've got legs below them. They're doing pretty well. And then there's another establishment, which, you know, I won't name on here, but they've kind of went halfway between brewery and nightclub to kind of keep the doors open. And they're a similar sized town, probably even a little bigger than Chico. And you come to Chico and you've got Lassen Cider. You've got I was gonna say Secret Trail, but you've got Paradise
Paradise
Brew Works,
Brewworks.
you've got Ramble West, obviously you've got Sierra Nevada. It seems like there's a real appreciation in the community for this kind of craft alcohol, and I think that's kind of what allows a lot of these types of establishments to kind of coexist together. And you guys have done collaborations with Secret Trail and with other entities in the area to kind of.
Yeah, and I'm looking at doing another collaboration with the new Paradise Brew Works with Jason, like we've talked about it. So I think when I start pressing apples in the fall, I'll probably get him some apple juice, and we'll do another graph, which is like a cider beer hybrid. Like, some of those worked out really well for the.
Yeah, I think I remember
trail.
tasting one of those. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to where I wanted to go. Kind of talking about the vision behind the cider and kind of your approach to making cider. You said earlier that you weren't really interested in tasting cider that wasn't yours because it just wasn't great, wasn't good, super sugary. Just
I'm a
really
cider snob. Like
sure. Can you take us on a deep dive into like?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, that's like a topic that's like near and dear to my heart. So I mean, that's like the reason why I call it like Lassen Traditional Cider is because I kind of make cider in like sort of like the old world, like more traditional style. So it's kind of like how cider would have been made like 100 years ago before people like did, like filtering and pasteurization and just like with more modern equipment. So I mean, there's a lot of different aspects of that we could talk about for sure. But it's, I guess, like to me, it comes down to like having like sort of like a sense of place with like how it's made and like how it's drank. So like, apples that I get are all from like mostly Northern California orchards. I started delving up into Oregon a little bit, but it's all kind of like small, like regional orchards, So it's just like I know they're like family, like small orchards,
right?
So like definitely having like a relationship with the growers. Like sometimes I'll go to their orchards and like pick and like so like I guess like sort of one aspect of that is just like. And like in the natural wine world, they use terminology where it's like low or non-intervention, where you just like let the fruit speak for itself. You know? So like with the cider that I make, it's very like orchard focused, so apple-centric cider. So I'm just like featuring, this one's just made from one type of apple, so the Newtown Pippin, and I like prominently feature where these apples are growing. They're growing down in near outside of Watsonville in Santa Cruz County. They've been growing these apples there since the 1800s. It's like a pretty cool history for that apple growing area. So I guess what I'm sort of getting at is like, with a lot of the more mass-produced ciders you see in the grocery store, like they're just getting like bulk juice from Washington. So there's like a couple big juicers that supply the entire country with apple juice. Like they ship tanker trucks like all around the world. Like, so it's kind of more like a commodity product, where like, these people don't know where the apples were growing. They don't even usually know what kind of varieties are in there. They're just getting this like bland apple juice blend, and then it's kind of more like recipe based, where you're just using that apple juice as like a base, and then you're adding flavoring. So it's like strawberry, guava, and then so like those flavorings they use are like the same they use in like a lot of the fruited beers you see. So it's like purees usually, which it's just like a frozen concentrate, but it's
artificial.
It's like really. It's fruit. It's based on fruit. It's not necessarily like artificial, but it is just like heavily processed. It's just like coming out of a big factory, basically.
Yeah.
So like I'm not really interested in doing like that kind of more recipe based, like flavored semi-sweet ciders. Like I just try to get good apples and like let them speak for themselves. Just like let it go dry. Like I don't leave residual sugar. So like to leave residual sugar in cider, you have to pasteurize it. I don't have any pasteurization equipment. Like I don't want to drink sweet cider. Why not just let it go dry? Like
yeah. And there's something to be said about it too. Because it is such a distinct taste that's different from I guess you could call big box ciders. Because I've tried some that just really miss the mark, and I keep coming back to Lassen because it is that. I don't want to speak out of turn here, but it just there's a more natural taste to it, and I think that's
I'm kind of like in an interesting dichotomy because I feel like I've like opened up a lot of people's eyes to like what cider can be, and like I hear from people a lot. They're like, "Oh my god, like I didn't think cider could taste like this. I thought it was just like sweet alcopop, just like." But then at the same time, it's hard to like fight that because like a lot of people like expect cider to be that way.
Right.
That's that's the only cider they've ever had. So like this perception of like, you know, all cider is just like sweet and fruity.
Yeah, they've been
So
conditioned
then they try
to.
this and they're like, this is weird. You know, I don't like it because I want my sweet alcopop.
Right. Yeah, you're fighting against
Yeah.
kind of the status
So it's
quo.
like, I mean, that's not my market, I guess, you know. So it's like, I mean, people can drink whatever they want to drink, obviously.
Yeah.
And like, if you like sweet stuff, go for it. It's not what I'm making, and you know, it's not what I like. I want to make stuff that I enjoy, you know. Like, I'm not really making a product for the masses, you know. It's
Right.
kind of more a niche product.
Well, I think that it comes down to, you know, and we've talked to, I think pretty much everyone we've talked to at this point, everyone from Ken Grossman to, you know, Paradise Brew Works, which is just starting out. Like, no one's in this industry to strike it rich. There's no get rich quick scheme in any of this. It's people who are passionate about creating something and they want others to enjoy it. And I think that comes out in pretty much, you know, everything you're putting together here. And you know, it feels like every time I see it, we talk about a new cider that you've got in the works, and you know, there is a real dedication to it, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I did not get into this to get rich. I'm definitely not getting rich, but you know, it's like a good lifestyle and it's fun. You know, it's pretty cool doing something you enjoy and have some passion for.
Yeah, definitely.
I was kind of thinking, I was going to relate kind of what I do too to like sort of what's going on with beer too, because I mean, beer is also very much like commodity product based. So like most brewers like don't know where their barley is growing, you know. Like there's like a disconnect between like the agricultural component of it and the production of the beverage.
Yeah.
So like I mean I want to like fully connect that. So like I think now, I mean, there is kind of like you see some breweries that are like featuring like, you know, like Admiral Maltings where they like are growing like California growing barley and like floor malting it in Alameda, and like a lot of breweries are using that stuff now, and they can say like, you know, our barley was from this farm in California. Yeah. And that's, you know, that's I think that's awesome because it's more like focusing on barley, which is like the main component of beer, you know, like why would you just like overlook that and just use whatever bag of grain you get from whatever maltster, you know, like, so I mean, that's kind of a parallel to what I do with cider too, kind of just like the commodity product versus more like having the agricultural connection, you know.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about, you know, your involvement and Lassen Cider's involvement in the community, because you really are out at pretty much every, you know, local thing that's going on. We see at the Thursday night market. You're out at a lot of different events. Why is it important to you to kind of have this consistent presence in the community?
I mean, I hear all the time, people are like, I didn't even know there was a cider in Chico. So I guess I'm just trying to do my best to like let people know that I'm here, you know, just so like, I mean, it just, you got to do it like over and over again. It's like so much persistence, you know. I've had like multiple articles and like every publication in Chico and like a lot of social media. And it's just like, it's hard to like get through all the noise these days, you know, because I mean, there's so much content out there, I guess, on, I mean, social media. But yeah, Thursday Market's been great, you know, like just I meet a lot of people there that, you know, end up coming to the taster and stuff. So it's kind of like a good marketing, you know. Same with every like brew fest. Sure. I mean, most brew fests, like a lot of people don't know this, but you're just like donating product because most are like fundraisers for charities. Right. So it's kind of like a marketing expense too, you know. We're just like telling people what the cider, they can try it, and like, yeah, somebody will be like, oh yeah, I saw these in the store, like I've been curious, and now I finally get to try it.
Do you get a lot of people in those situations who are, because, you know, we've been to the brew fests where it's like, all right, we're here for the double IPAs and the hazy and like all these crazy beers, and then you get like an hour into the beer fest and you're like, all right, I really need something that's not a beer. Do you get people, do you convert folks who are like hardcore beer people in those situations, and you get them to try the cider and like, hey.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of getting back to that thing where it's like people try my cider and they're like kind of blown away. They're like, oh, I didn't know cider could taste like this.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's, yeah, that's pretty cool to see. But at the same time, it's like towards the end of those brew fests when people have had like several beers because they want to drink their money's worth, and like, you know, they come up to me and just hold their glass. They're like, can I get your IPA? And it's like, this is cider. And they're just like, I don't care. Just give it to me.
Does it have alcohol in it?
It's like, you're going to remember this?
Oh, man.
We're talking about like collaborations in the future. Would you be willing to expand on some of those?
Are we under NDAs here? Can you shine a little light on what's...
Well, I mean, there's...
Figured we could ask.
I guess, I mean, I mentioned the one in the works with Paradise Brew Works.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think we'll probably, once I start getting apples in this fall, I'll probably do a collab with Jason and hopefully be on tap there. Yeah. And, oh yeah, I guess I actually did talk to Ryan at Ramble West about doing something too, so I should pursue that.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong here because I'm on the outside looking in, but most of the establishments we've talked to, it really seems like there's some collaborative spirit amongst the breweries. I mean, Jason at Paradise Brew Works has talked about how Ryan at Ramble West has been, a really helpful influence to him. I mean, I know you, we're pretty close to the folks at Secret Trail, and being able to collaborate with them on a fairly regular basis. What's it been like, being a part of this, I guess, the craft community, and working alongside some of these establishments?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I guess.
and
just put it away.
just for the podcast sake, we have Basil here, Ben's 1-year-old lab mix.
Yep.
Lab mix.
Yep.
And he's the cutest. So.
I mean, I go to all those places pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I want to support them, and
right.
hopefully they support me. So
yeah.
I think it. I mean, that's kind of how I deal with I mean, most businesses that I go to regularly in Chico are all, like a lot of people that sell my cider. You
right.
know? So it's like, well, if you sell my cider, I'll, go to your restaurant
right,
or something.
Right.
Like, why not?
Yeah. I guess I wanted to ask you about, looking towards the future. And we talked about this and how there are some challenges that are very real in this industry, and you're not alone in the fact that there's been declining sales across the board in alcohol. Are there plans to try and adjust as society adjusts? I mean, how do you see Lassen kind of adapting to kind of fit the growing and changing needs of the community?
I don't want to make NA cider. I mean, it just seems like a shame to me because, I mean, you're just fermenting it and then you're removing the alcohol.
Yeah.
It's just if you're going to drink alcohol,
let's do the thing.
Right, yeah. Why fake it? That's true. Yeah. I guess, there's some places where, if you remove the alcohol, you can use the ethanol for, whatever.
Yeah.
Apple brandy or something.
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
But speaking of collaborations, I forgot to mention the Golden Beaver collaboration.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So I had some cider distilled by them. So they had distilled some apple brandy for me.
Oh, very cool.
Then I took that apple brandy and mixed it with fresh apple juice. It's Newtown Pippin juice. And I'm aging it in a Buffalo Trace bourbon barrel for a year. And it's 23% alcohol, sweet dessert cider, boozy. It's a winter warmer. Be ready for the holidays.
That's the kind of stuff I love. I mean, just getting creative with it. I mean, and you're no stranger to that. Seeing what kinds of things you can do to bring out new flavors and new tastes in your cider. And I've really appreciated that. Over the years that we've known you. I mean, coming by here, grabbing a different cider, you telling us, hey, I've got this Pommeau that might be really good if you want to try it. And it's just been cool to be able to see what's possible with cider and with these different flavors that you're bringing out with them.
I actually did a mead too. This little mini barrel here is full of mead. So I got some expired honey from Macy Jane's. I guess that's another collaboration.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it was crystallized.
Right.
So they couldn't sell, but it was in a little honey bear. So I got a bunch of cases for free, but then I had to get all the honey out of the honey bears, which is pretty miserable. I had to heat it up in a water bath and squeeze out each one, so it took a lot of time, but it was free, so I can't complain, and it turned out pretty well. I just did a little 5-gallon batch.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Ben, before we let you go, and again, thank you for having us. This has been kind of a really fun discussion again because we know each other. I mean, we play softball against each other every Tuesday, so
Battle on the field.
we call each other frenemies because we know
You guys are my favorite team to play.
it's a lot of fun. I mean, we just know so many people on your team. Eric and everybody.
Yeah.
So
we
it's
have
just
a good time.
It's fun to play you guys. There's
And
no
we're pretty like even strength too.
yeah, and there's no
Could
real
go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak candidly here. There's some teams that we play in the league that are can be a little harsh. We're competitive with you guys, but there's never any animosity, and I appreciate that. But I want to ask you before we let you go here, any fun things coming up in the future that you might want to talk about? I know you got some new ciders coming out. We kind of touched on that already, but any events or anything like that?
Yeah, we are continuing with the craft markets, the pop-ups that we do. So I team up with Sammy from Turkey Tail Farms, and we host these craft markets here at the cider. So the next one's in September. I'm not sure the date off the top of my head, but then we're doing another one for Thanksgiving, and then another one right before Christmas. So those will be coming up soon. So.
Yeah.
I always have a good turnout for those. Get hundreds of people here, and there's a bunch of vendors.
Yeah.
30-some vendors.
Yeah, I've been to those. They're a lot of fun.
Food trucks. Yeah, music.
Yeah, bring everyone together. It's a really fun thing.
Yeah, it's a good way to get people to cidery.
Yeah. I do have one last thing for you, and this is kind of looking at the broader experience of you and your journey in general. From what you've told us, it started as simply as, hey, I've got a neighbor who's got an excess amount of apples. Let's see what I can do with it. And now you've got your own cidery. I mean, that is an accomplishment. That is a really, tons and tons of people don't get this far. And I know this is not where you want to end things.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for sure. And I'm not necessarily an entrepreneur, so I've just been learning as I go.
Yeah.
It's been kind of painful at times for sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely been some struggles, but I guess so far the rewards still outweigh the struggles, or else why would I still be doing it?
Right. And I guess my closing question was, what does it mean to you to have been able to do something like this? I mean, like you said, you went from an engineering pathway where you found yourself not really being interested in the work, and now you're in a place where you do love what you do. From what we've talked about on camera and off, you're very passionate about what you do, and you're able to do it for a living. I mean, that's got to be a pretty cool feeling for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it feels good, especially when I just get some positive feedback. Like I said, where I can kind of open people's eyes up to what cider can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a fun ride.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Ben, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. It was great to meet Basil. It was great to sip on some cider, and we'll see you for the playoffs in softball.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not going to be there, but good luck.
We'll see your team for the playoffs in softball. Thanks, Ben.